All right, y'all, this is Miss Kosishki, and this is going to be your introduction to the immune system. I hope you guys like this topic. I think it's very, very relevant. And if you can see up here, I drew the coronavirus, or something kind of looks like it. We're going to call it the pathogen, though, because this is going to be a very general discussion of how the body fights off disease. All right. I got a line here dividing up the paper. If you guys want to pause this and copy it, you can. I'm going to be adding to this. And again, this is just an introduction. More on this tomorrow. But for today, we've got the skin, which serves as a barrier that no virus or bacterium can get through unless there's a hole in that barrier. Okay? Where are there holes? Well, if you got an injury to your skin, of course, but also there's holes in your eyes, ears, nose, mouth. So what happens if that pathogen ends up finding itself inside your body? Well, boys and girls, gonna find some sticky stuff. Mucus is inside the body, in your nose, in your mouth, in your lungs, in your airways. Mucus is going to trap some of those pathogens. And then you cough them up, they get out of your body. Other things it's going to find are hostile chemicals, enzymes in your saliva can break apart bacteria and viruses. Stomach acid, very, very hostile in your stomach. You swallow some viruses, bacteria, likely not going to survive your stomach. There are also enzymes in your tears, boys and girls, and those enzymes in your tears destroy viruses and bacteria. All right, so we're talking about ways that your body can fight off infection, and they're not very specific. Skin, mucus, hostile chemicals. These means of fighting off infection in a way that's very general are grouped into a category and described as innate immunity. Very general, non-specific. Okay? Number 1, your skin. It's a barrier. Number 2, mucus. Sticky. Number 3, hostile chemicals. Going to destroy the virus, bacteria if it can. All right. Number 5 is fever. It's not number 5. It's number 4. Number 4 is fever. Fever is an increase in body temperature that ends up inhibiting, which means slowing down bacterial viral reproduction. So it turns out that right at your body temperature, that's where these little pathogens like to hang out at. And if your body temperature goes up, the likelihood of the virus or bacteria reproducing at its maximum rate is going to go down because they reproduce less when it's too hot. And then the final thing that is over here in innate immunity is inflammation, or the inflammatory response. And I misspelled it right there, so we're going to write it again. Inflammation. I think I misspelled that again, too. I think it has 2 M's. Here we go. Hope it does. Either way, inflammation, you guys know what that feels like. It hurts. Doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable. What do we got with inflammation? Well, area usually gets red, swollen, usually feel some warmth, and usually hurts. What is all that going on right there? Well, your body, when there's a pathogen, wants to bring more forces, bring more means of attack, bring more resources into that area that's now vulnerable. And so you're going to get redness because there's more blood coming in, swelling, more fluid coming in, heat, more blood coming in, more activity, more cellular reaction, some destruction, some fighting, some like many wars or something. Some pain, hurts. Pain allows you to protect the area as well. So all these things are protective even though they're not comfortable. One thing that I think is going to be new for you, most of you at least, is that inflammation involves something called phagocytosis, which essentially means eating. But instead of eating with your mouth, you're a cell that's doing the eating. So that looks like this. There are cells that wander around the body. They're types of white blood cells, and I drew this one like it has a little mouth, and I'm going to draw the nucleus in here like it's an eye, just to make it look kind of cute. This is white blood cell. The particular kind of white blood cell this is a phagocyte, which means it's an eater, and it eats pathogens and gobbles them up. That is part of the inflammatory response, okay? So phagocytosis is happening here, and what that's going to do is create another kind of immune response. And that immune response has a different name. That's why it's over here on this side of the line. We're still in the body, right? But this is going to create another kind of immune response, and that's going to be the adaptive. Here's the thing about the adaptive immune response. You have to be exposed to the pathogen. Here's the thing about innate immunity. You don't have to. It's there from when you were born. That's why it's called innate. You're born with skin. You're born with mucus. You're born with hostile chemicals. You're born with the ability to perform phagocytosis on any foreigner. It's not specific, but it sets up barriers and decreases the likelihood of infections happening. Adaptive, you got to learn. Your body has to figure this out. So you're not born with this kind of immunity. Sometimes it's called acquired immunity because you acquire it, you gain it. But the only way you can build this up is by direct, exposure or vaccine. Now, with coronavirus, they're saying that people aren't really sure if direct exposure to the coronavirus is going to protect you for the rest of your life, or at least for the next, several years. So this can vary depending on the illness, and some of that varies depending on the mutation rate of that pathogen. But more on that in a little bit, another day actually. What happens over here with adaptive immunity is this guy, this phagocyte that gobbled up the pathogen, he is going to communicate with or send a signal to special white blood cells called B and T cells. More on that later this week. We'll talk about them, but what they do, they're like intelligence agents. They are smart. They're like getting all the info. They have the ability to learn about the pathogen. They have the ability to launch a very specific attack. And final thing they have the ability to do is remember. Remember what that pathogen looks like, so if it ever comes bothering you again, it'll launch a faster attack, more effective one. All right, so that was an introduction. Again, this is the immune system, difference between what you're born with and what you gain as you live. And I hope that was helpful. Thanks, y'all.